guys, Roxanne here from Tiny Home Living. Well, it is a beautiful sunny day. Almost everything is melting, which makes me happy that we got all that stuff burnt at the front of the property. But today I am going to be working on the tiles in the shower in here. We got friends got some of the plumbing done in here, and we're hoping to get the water hooked up in here. And so I'll show you what I'm going to be doing today. It's pretty warm in here, but I lit the stove anyway because for tiles you want your adhesive to be warm. I don't have a light in here, so I'll probably have to use a flashlight. It's kind of gray in here. But I got the tub cleaned out, all the junk that was in it. Got the tiles pulled out. I want to get these shower walls tiled so that we can get the faucet and shower head installed. I got this one that has the spray nozzle. I like that for rinsing out the tub. So now, funny story, we spend so much time calculating how many tiles we need before we do a job, and somehow we came home with 3 boxes of these tiles and we need 4. And that's even with me adding some beveled tiles that we've got left over from another job. I'm going to put 2 strips, one down lower and one up higher, just so it's not quite so boring. And I think it's going to work out really well for cutting too, to not have too small of a strip up at the top when we're at the end. So really looking forward to this tub. I've been yammering about it for like a year and a half, and I cannot wait to get in this thing. It is 66 inches long instead of 60, and it is really deep. So I'm really looking forward to this. We already had some adhesive, of course, in the adhesive department, and we've got some grout too, so I've got to go out and look at that. But I'm getting the stove going here, so it's nice and warm in here. It's actually not too bad. Look at this mess. Oh my goodness. You guys know I don't like stuff on the countertop. Well, this is now like the gas fitting, plumbing, electrical department. Oh, vacuum cleaner bags too. But it is, what is it, 55, about 55 in here. Or what is that in Celsius? Now I'm talking Texan to my girlfriend Christine. So it's about 13 in here. So not too bad before lighting the stove. That's how warm it is outside. It's just beautiful. So gonna get started on this. I'll show you what I did with the tile saw. I got it set up in the greenhouse. It's really nice in here. Might have to stop calling this the greenhouse. Call it the multi-purpose building. What is that? The sun's shining in my eyes. I can't see. So it's about 65 in here, or 18 Celsius. So what I did, I brought the tile saw out the day before yesterday. Got this in here. I got to put some water in it. We've already got an extension cord here. I think we can hook onto the front of the tiny house. And the thing with this is you get sprayed with water when you use it. So if it's cold out, you're getting sprayed with water and you're freezing. So here, it's not going to matter if it sprays on the pots here or anything else. And I'll just wash my clothes afterwards like I always do. So this is going to work great, being able to cut the tiles in here. Now these are the tiles that are left over. They are 4 by 16. They're beveled. They're left over from another job. I checked the thickness. They're either the same or just a hair thinner. And I don't think it'll be too noticeable because of the bevel. But I think a row of these, after 2 rolls of the big tiles and then another row after maybe the 4th row, will look good. And for some reason I had 3 of these big tiles left over from somewhere else too. So I'm going to use these up. That'll get more stuff used up, and I love doing that. More stuff I don't have to move every time I go to do something. The other thing you want to do when you look at laying out your tiles and getting your measurements and where you're going to start and everything, these say they are 8 by 24 inch tiles. But then underneath it says actual size is 7.87 by 23.62. So you're losing almost a 1/2 inch in length and about 1/4 inch in the height. So you really have to take that into consideration when you're thinking about how you're laying them out, because you could end up with like a 1-inch strip up there. Maybe I still will. I'm not very good at that part. Chris usually does all the ciphering for me. He's the one that figures out all the numbers. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the back wall first, because we are missing tiles. We don't want to run all the way to the city since we have to go next week anyway for Chris's appointment with the cardiologist. So we are going to do the back wall first, and then we'll maybe do this wall, and then when we get the other tiles, we'll get enough to finish off the back wall. We may run out of adhesive too, so I'm not sure if there's going to be enough in here to do the whole thing. And now I've got to go out to the other building and look at all the grout that we've got left over from jobs to see if that's going to work. Okay, what have we got in the grout and paint department? This is bright white, so if I want to do them in white, that one feels like it's almost full. This one is the DeLorean gray. I like that, but it doesn't feel like there's much there. I'll have to check and see if they're dried out too. So I've also got winter gray and charcoal, which is essentially black. That's the stuff I used with the black tiles behind the little cubic mini grizzly stove. So I should check these pails anyway and see if they're dried out. They won't be any good. This is the really expensive grout that has the sealer already in it. Now, it is great having the sealer mixed in it, but it's a lot more difficult to work with. Very, very difficult grout to work with. It dries quicker and it's just not as easy to smooth out and everything. I cannot get the lids off these pails. They're so hard to get off. So we've got a special tool in the paint toolbox for getting lids off, especially these big ones off the 5-gallon pails. So I'll have to go find that and see what I've got here. Well, I can't find that tool anywhere. I'm pretty sure it was sitting here on top of these paint pails at some point, but I can't find it now. So that one, excuse me, the DeLorean gray is as hard as a rock. I'm sure the black one will be too. The white one might be okay, but I'll see if I can get more lids off of these. And you know I'm going to save those pails, don't you? Okay, so I've got my handy dandy little grout color kit. So I'm just going to get the colors out that I think might work and try them in between the tiles to see how it looks. These are the 4 gray colors: DeLorean gray, winter gray, pewter, and dove gray. Dove gray is the darkest. Now the other thing I might have to do is rethink using these, because if you look close enough, is my camera focusing? There. Oops, it keeps going out of focus because of the shiny parts. I'm not sure that's going to be so easy to do unless, see, if I pull it apart, so I've got the gray grout in between, you can see how I've got a lip right here on the grout sample. It's perfect for there, but there's a lip here, and that's the problem I'm going to run into when I am floating the grout. Let's see if I can get this to focus. The shininess on the tile is making it go out of focus. Anyhow, I might have to rethink this. I'll go get another big tile and show you the difference. But you can see how much of a lip there is on there, and that's the difference in the thickness of these 2 tiles. So now you can see how, like, I just run my fingers across there and it's all the same height, and that's what you want. So I guess I'm stuck doing just plain field tiles. Grouting is not the easiest thing to do, so I really don't want to make it more difficult on myself by using those beveled tiles. So now this is the DeLorean gray, winter gray, what was this one? Pewter, and the Dove Gray. I'm sort of leaning towards the second one, the Winter Gray. So I'm not sure what it was I used with the colored tiles in there. I'm thinking it was Winter Gray that I used here and in the bathroom. There was only 4 grout lines, of course. But I'm thinking it was the Winter Gray that I used, so I might as well just get another pail of the Winter Gray. But yeah, that kind of makes me cranky that I can't use those bevel tiles, but I really think there's going to be too much. I didn't think there was much of a difference in thickness, but I think there is going to be too much. So I think I am going to go with the Winter Gray, and I will get that when I go into the city to get another box of these. Now the next decision is the size of your grout line. These things here I believe are 1/4 of an inch. I don't have the label for those, but these samples I believe are 1/4 of an inch. So if I put that in there, oops, I'll put it this way. This fits pretty much perfectly. It's kind of firm in there, right? So that is the same thickness as this sample. I don't know if I want that thick of a grout line. First of all, you're going to use a lot more grout, but I hate grout lines. Now, if I do go with the gray, it is going to give me a lot nicer accent with the gray. Or I could go with the smaller one. And these ones are a little bit, I don't really like these kind of spacers, but you can see how much thinner that is. And if you turn it this way, I think that's the way they're actually supposed to go in, that makes it a little bit wider. So that ends up being pretty much the same as that thick one. So I might turn them this way, and that still gives me a pretty thick grout line if I stick them in that way. It's a little smaller than these big fat ones. So now I've got to figure out what size. Of course, we don't have the original bag, so I don't know what size these are. So that sample and that are 1/4 of an inch. So if I look at, let me see if I can show you guys on the camera. If I turn this one this way, it ends up basically being 1/4 of an inch as well. This sheen from the window really is a pain. But now if I turn it this way, it ends up being 3/16. So, do I want to use these one and go with 3/16, go with a little thinner grout line, or go with the 1/4 of an inch? I'm not sure. The thing is, you don't want to go, I've done it before, I've made all the mistakes. I've done it before where you go too thin, and it is really hard to get the grout into the wall and get this cavity filled if it's too small a cavity, because you basically got your float here, and you know you're trying not to get the grout everywhere, and you're trying to get it in there onto the wall. So this is right full of grout. You don't want air pockets and it to be all uneven. So you want that grout to be pressed in there and this cavity to be completely filled. So I'm just going to have to decide whether that 1/16 of an inch difference is what I want to do. Go with the thinner or the thicker. 3/16 or 1/4 of an inch. And of course it might be a good idea to make these decisions before it's dark. And there's no more daylight to even work. I think this is going to be the warmest day. Tomorrow and the next day I think might be nice. And then next week it's going to be below 0 all week, like single digits, but still, you know, too cold to be doing this. So I really want to get going on this, and I still have to try and get that pail of adhesive open, and I cannot find that tool. The other thing is these spacers are a lot easier to work with. They stay nice and firm in there no matter which peg you stick in, and they stay put. Those other ones are really fiddly and they move and they rock and pivot a bit, and they're a pain in the neck. Now this is the next thing to ponder. You always want to figure out where you're going to start, and if you want that center tile on the center of the wall. Now it's going to show a lot more if I have gray grout lines. So if you look at this, if I put the third one up there, you can see how much it overlaps. So I would have to cut half of that amount off of the end of each, that tile and that tile, to have that one in the center of the wall, so that the grid of the grout line is gonna look the same on that end and that end. Now I have to decide if that matters. Normally Chris and I are really anal about everything being symmetrical, especially me. So having this middle tile in the center of the wall, well, every other tile going up, I have to decide. Now this side, it's going to be different because I'm going to start with a full tile here and have the cut tile there. And I'm going to do that on both walls. So this one is going to start here, have to do the hole for that, and then you're going to have, you know, like an 8-inch tile at that end. So the two end walls will end up being the same, but this one might be end up looking really goofy if I do it this way. But maybe not, because see, the second row, if I start with a full tile on that end, then I'm going to have the same amount of cutoff here as I have right there. So it might end up looking kind of symmetrical anyway. This won't be in the center, but the cuts, like that cut and then that cut and then the third cut and the fourth cut, will all be essentially the same size. So I guess in a way it'll end up symmetrical anyway. Can you tell I'm trying to talk myself into this? The point being, I don't have to cut 2 tiles for every row. I only have to cut 1 tile for every row, and I end up with less grout lines. So I think that's what I'm leaning towards. And then here it'll end up with a cut tile there and a cut tile there on the end walls. And then the second row, I will probably start with a full tile at that end and then a cut tile here. So I still have somewhat of a subway pattern. I think I have this right in my head. I'm so used to Chris figuring this out for me. He figures out the numbers and everything, and I'm trying to do this with my tiny little brain this time. But I think that's going to look okay. And I'm actually getting to the point where I don't really care. I want this tub. I want to soak in this tub, and I want this shower running. And I want running water in here. The grout lines might not be the be-all and the end-all. Now another thing I want to mention before I get started is usually we don't just put the adhesive on the whole wall, especially with me working by myself. I'll put enough on the wall to do 2 or 3 rows, because I'm going to have to go out after that one, cut another one, get them all lined up, get the spacers in, and you don't want your adhesive going dry. So don't go putting your adhesive way up the wall and get ahead of yourself, because it does start to dry pretty quickly. Once it starts getting rubbery and dries out, your tiles are going to end up coming off the walls. So you don't want that, not with these big heavy tiles. Okay, next decision, which trowel to use, what size of, can't get that to focus either, there we go, groove. Now that one has the pointy grooves, this one I believe is a 1/4 inch. This is meant for bigger tiles, like we actually have a bigger one than that for the really heavy slate tiles. I believe the one there is what we used on the floor tiles here. These floor tiles, some of them have to be redone. We have never had adhesive fail on us before, and it was actually warm when Chris did these, and they didn't stick. It's the first time it's ever happened to us, and so again, don't really know what went wrong, but we have to redo these. They are loose underneath the rug. So, trying to decide. That's a pretty heavy tile. I went with a 12 by 24 on a last project, and they were so heavy and they were sliding down the walls, so it was kind of a nightmare. I might go with the heavier one because it will make them stick better. This one I think is a little too chintzy. I probably used it for these backsplash tiles, and that would be plenty. but I think I better go with the heavier one with the adhesive on these 8x24s. The other thing I want to do before I get started, I got the little 2-foot level, and I'm just going to sit it on these. These are sitting on the tub. We did try leveling the tub up. Oh, I've got my glasses on, but it's so hard with the shadows. That is on the bubble. It's not touching both lines perfectly, so I'm going to be able... I was afraid I might have to put something underneath to get the first row running level, but it looks like the tub is perfectly level. We did go to a lot of trouble to try and do that, but you just never know. So I just have to cut my first one, and I think I might cut 2, get the first 2 rows on, and see how it goes there. The day's half over, and I'm just getting started. The lighting, of course, is terrible in here too. So I put the spacer in there. I'm going with the bigger ones. So now if I take this measurement, subtract 1/4 of an inch for the grout spacer there, I should have the right size tile. Something else I wanted to mention, these tiles on the back of them have arrows pointing up. So I'm just going to assume this side is up. I don't know why, but they must be there for a reason. So you'll have to keep that in your mind when you're cutting off one end or the other. Now because I hit the bar on this side of my saw, I have to flip it around so the long end is on this side of the saw. I've taken the measuring guide off, so I'm just eyeballing it. And you have to remember that you're taking out the thickness of the saw blade too from your cut. Gone and gotten a towel. I don't know if you can see it in the lighting, but there's sort of a brown sludge from the inside of the tile. So what I usually do is just quickly wipe them off, because when you go to grout, you don't want that stuff getting smeared into your grout, especially if you end up going with a white grout line. I doubt if these cut-offs are going to be used for anything. I think they're going to be the wrong size for the end walls, but I'll save them just in case. use this thing. I also check them for level, so I won't have to worry about them sliding down because I can sit them right on the ledge.
Yeah.
I put 2 on there and this level was right on the bubble. So that'll work out good. Oops, let's just get glue everywhere right to start. That's why I got my water. I never did find that tool to open the peel. I was sure it was in there on top of the paint somewhere at one point, but I don't know where it is.
You want me to get, oh, you got that? You can use this trowel too, eh?
Yeah, that's the one I'm going to use.
No, but you can use that edge to spread it.
Oh, I find it easier with this.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to do up higher.
No, I'm not gonna.
No, I mean just like a foot.
Yeah.
You don't have to get close to the tile below to spread it again.
You mean go higher or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to see how thick I got it. Because I don't want it to dry out here before I'd like to get 2 rows on at a time. Okay, maybe I'll just trowel it now. See how much I can get off of here. I need more down there. Yeah, it's still flexing behind there because of that. And it's leaving a lip. That's what I was afraid of. Do you want to grab something that I can pry this off?
Like
I'll have to butter the back of this one.
red bar.
Yeah, I didn't bring one in. There might be one out there on the counter. So this, because there's a bit of a lip between these 2 pieces of concrete board, it's making this one stick out a little bit further. I tried to compensate with extra mud there, but this one is still in a little bit too far. So I'm going to pry it off, add some mud to this side to bring it out level with this. Because otherwise you're going to get that, the float hitting that edge, and it's going to make the grout line kind of crappy. Oh, right in the bucket. Yeah, this isn't even. You can see the tile's not touching the wall, so I'm going to butter this. I don't want to get that off of there. can see it's not on the tile there either. So I only got 2 rows on, 6 tiles, but this adhesive is old and it's full of big blobs and lumps that are dried. So I decided, and of course I had to scrape off where I was, and I decided to use a bunch of it to level out this big hump that was causing a lot of problems. So I used a bunch of the excess. So as I was saying before my battery died again, only got 2 rows done, but now I can see that pattern that I could see in my head, and I like it. I like the one on the left cut and then the one, or sorry, one on the right, then one on the left. So it'll go back and forth like that, and I think it'll look pretty good. So they're staggered by about 6 inches, and I think that looks good. Like I said, I put a bunch of the extra adhesive that was still in that pail. I was running out anyway, but the big lumps of dried stuff in it are just really annoying. So Chris is thinking we might go to the city tomorrow and get it. I really didn't plan on him doing that because he just hasn't been feeling well. So got the 2 started. I got the rest of the tiles for this wall cut already. And like I said, I went with this big tile. I like these because you just end up with a lot less cutting and a lot less grout lines. So tomorrow we'll pick up another box of tiles, we'll get more adhesive, and I'll pick up the grout. And then we can pretty much go start to finish rather than wait till next week. This hump, this right-hand piece of concrete board is sticking out quite a bit, and that was really causing a bit of a problem. I had to pull these bottom ones off and butter the back of them to sort of build it up where it's not touching the wall because of the hump. And that's what I was using the level for, is to put across the joints to make sure that one isn't sticking out way further than the other. You can use anything that's flat, but you want to check on that. So not terribly exciting today. Oh, that's my fire crackling. You know, getting set up and getting everything figured out in my head and the numbers and everything before you start cutting is a good idea, especially when I'm not that good at it. Chris woke up from his nap and it just drove him nuts watching me work with the glue and paint. It just makes him crazy watching me because I just get it everywhere. So anyway, we're gonna go tomorrow, I think, and get another pail of adhesive, the grout, and another box of tiles so we can actually get this finished. It will be so nice to have this project finished. So, and then pretty soon get that tub in use. So I am actually done for today, guys. Got to go cook supper for the old guy. And that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell and share this video with your family and friends. And we'll see you next time. Maybe even finish the tiles.